sustainability of subtractive manufacturing and transforming the future of machine shops. Just to let you know about his profile, it's a privilege for me to read his brief biodata. Dr. P. Vamsi Krishna is currently working as professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, NIT Warangal. He is having 21 years of experience in teaching and research. His research interests are application of solid lubricants in machining process, application of eco-friendly nano-cutting fluids in machining, vibration-assisted machining, modeling and simulation of manufacturing process and composite materials. 5 students were awarded PhD and 5 are pursuing PhD under his guidance. He guided about 35 PG and 19 UG projects. He has completed 5 funded projects of worth 1 crore altogether, and 1 is ongoing. He published 1 textbook, 3 textbook chapters, and edited 3 books. He published more than 130 research papers in reputed journals and conferences and 1 patent. He is editorial board member for 10 journals and delivered 35 guest lectures. He is recognized as one of the top 2% of influential scientists in 2022 Stanford University list. He is awarded with Outstanding Reviewer Award by Tribology International elsewhere in 2017 and Best Reviewer Award from Transactions of Indian Institute of Metals in 2020. So with this brief biodata, I request Dr. Vamsi Krishna to start this session today. Thank you.
Environmental impact is below the level that the self-recovery capability of the natural environment can deal with. So, there is a level. So, below that, if you use any resources, again it will be regained. Okay. But if you use above that level, the regaining or recovery capability is not possible. That is what we have to use below that level. And then the design of human and industrial systems to ensure that the same thing, whatever you are designing, any manufacturing systems or anything, then we have to check this whether we are using the level above that recovery level or below that recovery level. So, if you are using below the recovery level, then we are not harming our environment, right. So, that is what we need to understand this one. So, what is sustainable development? The same thing, whatever we are manufacturing, it may be some car or any refrigerator, or you take any product, we use so many resources, right. We use raw material and we use machines and we use electrical energy and we use some oils, right, some cutting tools or cutting fluids, etc. So, we can use so many things to get the product from a raw material. So, in between from raw material to product, there are so many steps are there, right. Maybe we are using our energy, right, and electrical energy and also raw material, etc., whatever required. So, during this cycle, what we have to develop is whatever we are using the resources, we should minimize. That means we have to use in such a way that the recovery level should not cross our utility. That is what the basic understanding of sustainability and sustainable development. So, maybe you can see this one so that you can understand what is going on nowadays. So, this is what initially our earth or nature. So, like this we are using natural resources and we are making our products, our requirements, but there are so many negative effects in the nature. So, I think you understand. So, we are using our environment, right, like plants or water.
Any question for back side print?
Everything we are using these bags, our laptops, and everything whatever we are using, we are increasing the utilization, but we are not reducing the utilization. So, here the first point is we have to reduce the utilization of the natural resources. So, that is what, for example, you take the power generation, right. So, if you use maybe wind power or water power instead of the thermal power plants, or instead of the usage of oils, I mean petrol based fuels to generate the power, then what will happen? We can able to reduce, right. So, we can use solar energy or wind energy or hydraulic source, but nowadays we are not utilizing up to the maximum level. We are still utilizing the thermal power. Of course, compared to the previous last 20 years or 30 years, now the power generation from the solar energy or maybe from the hydraulic power is increased, but at the same time if it is increasing 10%, our utilization is increasing 20% because of the population growth as well as the number of products what we are getting, and also like this. So, I will give you a small example. Normally what we can do, we buy our mobile phone, but many of us we do not use till it is absolute. After 1 year or 2 years, whenever the performance is less or whenever the new mobile phone is coming to the market, we are buying that one. So, you are throwing it, right? Am I right? Or maybe you can sell for something, but finally it is there, somewhere it is there. So, all these electronic goods, like previously we used CDs. So, that material is not biodegradable, right? And maybe we are using hard disk, laptops, everything. All these also we are not utilizing till the end of its life, right? We are changing the products depends on our requirements, or sometimes depends on our passion or whatever, so many reasons. So, what is happening? This product is obsolete. Like TV is also same. We are changing whenever the new product is coming, right? So, same, our clothes also same, chappal, shoes, everything. Nowadays we are not utilizing the total lifetime of the product. So, here we need to reduce the usage. I just told you few examples, but I am talking about manufacturing point of view. So, reduce means not only reducing the product use, right, and we have to reduce the everything, usage of water, usage of power, or anything, usage of any of the natural resources. I am not saying you do not use mobile phone or you do not use any of the product, but you can use your resources maybe up to the maximum efficiency, right. So, that is what the reduce, and then reuse, right. So, maybe you can reuse some of the products like your clothes or maybe any of the products, right. So, like water bottles. So many products maybe we can reuse, but now this reuse technology is also developing, but in our country it is very less. So, that is what reuse, and then recycle. Maybe you cannot reuse the product in the same form, so we can recycle the product and again make the raw material with that one, and then go for the another product, like that. So, if you are able to follow these 3 rules, right, then maybe you can able to reduce that consumption rate, or maybe you can able to attain this sustainable rate. So, it is very difficult actually. Everyone is saying we can reach by 2050 or 2080, like that, some of the countries, but it is not possible. It is just we are aiming, right. We do not know how we can reach it. So, then this is what recycling and remanufacturing. So, if you follow all these things in each and every product, whatever possible, then we can able to reduce the usage of natural resources, and maybe we can able to attain the sustainable rate. And then already I told you previously, CO2 footprint. So, that is what we need to understand. Whatever we are utilizing the natural resources, that one is converting into CO2 emissions. Already I told you, everything we convert into CO2 emissions, but actually it is not CO2 emissions, but like our assets, how you are converting, like that, whatever emissions or whatever the damage to the nature, that we are converting into CO2 emissions, and we calculate in that form. So, that is what is this carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse gases produced directly or indirectly, and to support human activities. That is what human activities, whatever we required, maybe water bottles, or maybe our mobile phones, or pens, or books, or shoes, or clothes, etc. See, everything we have to get from some of the natural resources. So, we have raw material, we have a product, in between it is a process, right. So, that process is again utilizing so many machines, manpower, and some maybe chemicals, or maybe oils, or maybe so many things, right. So, that is what each and every step we are utilizing the natural resources, and we are converting one form of energy into other form. So, that is what whatever we are utilizing, that is usually expressed in equivalent tons of the carbon dioxide, right. So, when you drive a car, this is one example, the engine burns fuel which creates a certain amount of CO2. So, it creates not only CO2, other gases also, but for our purpose, calculation purpose, we are converting everything into CO2 with some multiplication factor. So, so depending on its fuel consumption and the driving distance. So, similarly, when you heat your house with oil or gas or coal, then also generate the CO2. That is what we are using heaters, we are using ACs, right, or we are using geysers, okay, or we are using our tube lights, everything. So, everything is again converting some natural resource into our required energy thing. So, that is what in every process some greenhouse emissions are there, right, or heat generation is there. So, that is what we convert into CO2 footprint. So, even if you heat or cool your house with electricity, that is the generation of the electrical power may also emitted a certain amount of CO2. That means either directly or indirectly we are utilizing the natural resources only. So, I have one question. Okay. So, we are all working, right. So, for example, I am working, so I am getting some salary per 1 month, maybe 1 lakh rupees. What I am doing with that money? Anyone, not only me. So, we are taking that money and we are purchasing whatever we require, right. So, it may be rice, or it may be vegetables, or it may be our daily requirements. So, again this amount is going to different people. So, I am purchasing vegetables. So, that vegetable market person getting money, not only from me, like so many people. Again, what he is doing this money? Again he will buy whatever his requirement. So, that money is again going to different people, maybe for the farmer. So, what he is doing? Again he will buy some other items, right, maybe fertilizers, maybe seeds for his cultivation, and again for household life. So, like this, if you think or if you see, just this money is transferring one person to other person, right. But finally what? Finally what? Nothing. So, finally this money is again just transferring to one person to other person. Maybe like few people are accumulating, right, accumulating in the form of just a digital or whatever. So, again the currency will not be with him, only on paper I am having some 100 crores, you are having some 200 crores, or someone is having only 1 crore, like that. So, but finally whatever we are doing is, we are eating the food, we are drinking the water, and we are using the same thing for our daily purpose. Whether you are getting 2 lakhs rupees, I am getting 1 lakh rupees, and some other person getting 50,000, whatever, finally everyone is doing the same thing, right. but maybe I can buy a shirt with 1000 rupees, he will buy a shirt with 500 rupees and someone buy a shirt with 2000 rupees, or I can use a car with 10 lakhs and someone use car with 1 crore. Like, see, finally this is what only the difference of our satisfaction or our ego or whatever. I am using a branded car, I am wearing a branded shirt, or I am having a big house, but whatever the big house, you are sleeping on the same area, right? See, like this, if you think really, everyone utilizing the same natural resources like water, air and food. All other things are just conversion of these things into different forms. That's it. But finally we require the same amount of oxygen to live, more or less, same amount of water to drink and same amount of food to eat. This is what our final requirements. But still we run to earn more, right? Am I right? So I am not saying you don't work and you don't earn, just try to understand the nature. Okay, so that is what I am saying. You can live with maybe 10,000 rupees per month also, 50,000 rupees per month also, or 50 lakhs per month also. Only difference is the level of satisfaction, that you can satisfy with 10,000 also, you can satisfy with 10. Of course, the society or whatever the system is pushing us to earn and spend money, right? Because otherwise what will happen, if you don't want money, then we don't work. Am I right? That is what happening nowadays. The government is giving some free, so many people don't work. So if you don't work, then there is no productivity, right? So if you don't work, just eating and sleeping, what will happen? The system will be damaged. That may be environment, that may be your body. So actually the energy required for our body is same, the natural resources required for body is same, whether it may be a poor person or it may be a rich person. But only thing is, by creating this level of satisfaction or system, etc., we are pushing the people to work, right? So the same thing happening here, but in this system we are forgetting what is actually required and we are spending more and we are spoiling the environment or something. So here what is happening is, something is required, definitely something is required, but once we started running, we don't know where to stop. So after reaching the level of required also, we still try for the more. It may be money, or it may be product development, or it may be process development, or it may be creating new product or innovations or whatever, right? Am I right? So maybe 50 years back or hardly 30 years back, we don't have cell phones, or maybe in the 50 years back we don't have internet, but still people are happy at the time also, and maybe before that we don't have even telephone and we don't have any electricity, but at that time also people are survived. Now also the society is running, people are surviving, but what is the difference? So I don't know whether we can call it as development, or so we are developing at the same time we are damaging in them, right? So the balance is required, right? So that means we don't say don't create new product or don't manufacture, etc., because if you don't manufacture, then what will happen? You don't start a new company. If you don't start new company, then you don't require any machinery, you don't require any electrical energy, you don't require any workers, but the population is increasing. How to get money for them? They have to work. That means you have to create the work, right? So this is all happening just to create the work to the people. Every development or everything is happening just to create the work to the people, because if there is no work, if they don't work, then again damage to the environment and their body. So this is because of everything happening with increasing the population. But shall we stop the population? It is also not possible, right? This is a natural process, right? So like that depends on the some of the things are naturally happening, and those things are forcing us to develop a new product or to develop a new process or to go for the new things, and again those new products or process or requirements are forcing us to use the natural resources. So all this is a system, right? Life cycle. But here what is happening is during this life cycle we are missing and we are using what more resources than what is required. Okay. So nowadays because of that one we are facing some natural disasters, right? Like temperature rise is there, global warming is there. Because of that one some health issues are there, like that, some problem for the cultivation, etc., etc. So many things are there. So here we need to understand this carbon footprint. So that is your carbon footprint is the sum of all the emissions of CO2 which were induced by your activities in a given time frame. That is what I told you, whatever we are using, that one we can convert into this CO2 emissions, right? So then what is this carbon footprint, or how can we determine, is the actual gases we produce each day by driving or heating or cooling our homes or using electricity, etc. So I am just quoting few examples, but all the activities require some energy. So items we use also affect our carbon footprint. For example, the carbon was produced in the making of your clothes, and carbon will be produced as they are breaking down after you throw them away, or the more we buy, the more emissions are produced, right? So because of these things the carbon footprint is increasing in the environment. So this is what, when we are using the vehicle, then the emissions are more, then carbon footprint is increasing. Then maybe you are cutting the nail, then also carbon footprint is increasing. And then like this the carbon dioxide is also called greenhouse gas, causing the global warming. Already I told you, we can call it as all the emissions or whatever outputs we are getting from the process or manufacturing is called as the greenhouse gases. So over greenhouse gases which might be emitted as a result of your activities, or like example methane or ozone or some other any of the gases like nitrogen, etc. And these greenhouse gases are also normally taken into account for the carbon footprint. That means we have a multiplication factor, this much amount of nitrogen is releasing and this is equivalent to this much amount of CO2 gas, like that we convert, right? And they are converted into the amount of CO2 that would cause the same effects on global warming. So that is called as the equivalent CO2 amount, that is represented by the CO2e. So all the emissions or all the wastage what we are giving to the environment is converted into finally CO2e. That is what we are calculating the CO2 emissions. So these are the general greenhouse gases like water vapor and carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, ozone, and this perfluorocarbons and hydrofluorocarbons and sulfur hexafluoride, etc. Like this, there are so many things, so many gases are there which we don't required and harmful to our environment, right? But these are all there emitting into the environment or mixing with the air. So, which reducing the oxygen levels in the environment. So, again this is danger to the humans or maybe animals or maybe marine, this one, that is more amount of more amount of this wastage is delivered into the sea, then the marine life is damaging, right? We don't get fishes, etc. So, these greenhouse gases can be measured by recording emissions at source by continuous emissions monitoring or by estimating the amount emitted by multiplying activity data. This is what I told you, right? So, we are converting this into by multiplying this one, and then these conversion factors allow activity data, that is to be converted into kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent. So, finally, we are converting everything into CO2e. So, this is CO2e is the universal unit of measurement that allows the global warming potential of different greenhouse gases. Like how we are telling what is the property you have, or what is the value of your property, or what is the income of certain country, or what is the overall per capita of certain country, how we are telling, right? Like that everything and also you know, if you go any country or anything, even per capita income is represented in the USD, right? That means all countries they converting their this one into USD and telling their level of income or whatever. And similarly, that is the normally universal or worldwide the currency what we are everyone accepting. Similarly, we are representing our own properties in the form of money, rupees, right? So, here also same, all the environmental emissions we convert into CO2 equivalent and we tell what is the emission size in the form of CO2, right? Are you understanding? So, this is what the life cycle. So, then we have the raw material. So, first we can extract the raw material from the mines. It may be whatever coal or iron or whatever it may be. We extract the water and also we extract the material from the trees, right? These are all the natural resources, okay? And then we design and we produce a product, okay? That means we design how to manufacture this shirt, right? Or how to manufacture this pen. We design first what raw materials are required and what machine we have to use and what process we have to follow, like then from this one whatever you understand now, then you take one product, right? For example, you have to manufacture one car tire, or you take machining itself, because our topic is machine shop. So, you can tell me one product which we can manufacture in the machine shop. Maybe we can manufacture piston rings, right? So, piston rings required some metal, maybe aluminum, right? So, first we have to extract the aluminum from the mines, maybe in the natural form or maybe in the any other form. Then we have to prepare the aluminum alloy what we required for the piston rings manufacturing. So, we get raw material, then this raw material comes to your machine shop. So, this machine shop contains again lathe machines or milling machines or drilling machines or cutting machines, etc. Then or forming, etc. So, we convert first this raw material into required form, maybe like a tube or maybe like a rod or maybe like a rectangular piece, etc. We convert into billets, etc. Whatever required, depends on the product. Then we use the lathe machine or drilling machine or any other machine and we convert the raw material into required shape and size. So, one process may not be or one operation may not be sufficient, then we can go for secondary operation, maybe we can go for grinding or drilling or some other finishing process, and finally we are producing a piston ring, and that one we are using in the maybe IC engine. That IC engine we are using in again maybe two-wheeler or four-wheeler or maybe aeroplane or rocket or etc. So how many steps are there from getting raw material here to the usage of car? There are so many steps. Okay, of course here we are just showing the main steps, that is design and product, and then packing and distribution, and then use and maintenance. Suppose you take a car, a small part in the car, there are so many steps, right? Or otherwise you are using a brakes. So the brake system itself contains so many individual components, brake shoes, right, or pedal or whatever. So again that brake shoe is required or manufactured nowadays by some composite material. So this composite material contains maybe aluminum alloy and maybe some silicon carbide particles reinforcements or something else. So first we have to get this silicon carbide and we have to get aluminum, and then we have to prepare the, or we have to manufacture a composite. Then for this one we require some other equipment, maybe stir casting or some other equipment. Then we manufacture, and then that one again we cut into required shape. For that one we require some machine or lathe machine or laser cutting machine or any machine. So in the machine shop itself, once the raw material is coming and the product is going out, so we are utilizing so many machines, so many cutting tools, and we are utilizing the oils and grease and all these things for the machines, and also we are manufacturing the cutting tools separately and machine separately, and again bringing to the machine shop. We are utilizing lathe machine, but that lathe machine also manufactured by some other company, again by using the cast iron or steel, right, and again that manufacturing unit required the raw material from the mine, and again electrical energy, and to manufacture that one again so required some other machine, individual components are required, then we can assemble. So we require bolt and nuts, am I right? So you take a simple bolt and nut or piston ring or like that to get the final product, right? So we are utilizing all these steps. So first we are designing, depends on our requirement, depends on the functionality, and then we are producing, and then we are packing and distribution to the customer, and the customer is utilizing, and then coming to here, sometimes we are dumping, right, and sometimes this is what the disposal or reuse and recycling. So if we are completely disposing, then we are not utilizing, or the environment or resources are wasting. So here we need to understand the reuse and recycling, but in this step we need to understand the reduce. So in the design stage itself, in the manufacturing stage itself, we have to reduce the usage of the raw materials, or usage of the electricity, or usage of the cutting tools, or usage of the cutting fluid, or usage of the oils, whatever. So don't waste energy, or don't waste raw materials, or don't waste any of the natural resources. So in each step, if you follow the sustainability aspects, maybe we can able to reduce and reuse and recycle. So each and every step. So then this is what maybe the cloths we are using. So the cultivation of cotton, this is the life cycle of the cloth. So cultivation of the cotton in country A, and then I will show you the total thing. So process at the spinning and weaving mill in some country, you can take it as a country or place or city, whatever, and then we are manufacturing a product in some other city or country C, and then we are going for the marketing and sales in the country D. then used by the consumers, then waste collection. Then sometimes we can go for collection by the second hand shop for reuse, and then or otherwise it is going for dumping and recycling and then going to the nature. So, some of the products even if you throw out to the nature, then no issue, it will be recycled or reusable after a period of time, right. So, but some of the products we cannot reuse. So, that is what we use the word either the item is biodegradable or not. So, if paper is there, if throw out and it will mix with the soil, maybe after a period of time it is biodegradable, or any of the leaves it is biodegradable, right. But if you throw your pen drive or your laptop or your cell phone or your hard disk, it is not biodegradable. After 10 years or 20 years or whatever the period, after 100 years also that will be like that only. So, this is what we need to understand in the life cycle of any product. That is whatever we are showing here, the same thing here. So, we have a raw material. So, to get this raw material we are using fertilizers, energy and water, because we are manufacturing the raw material for the cloth is maybe a cotton or silk or something, whatever the material. So, that we are again cultivating, right. So, for this cultivation we required fertilizers and we required energy and we required water. So, here also again we are using the natural resources. So, this fertilizer again manufacturing by some other natural resources, and this energy is produced by some other natural resources, and water is directly we are using from the nature. So, like this here what we are doing is the raw material itself here utilizing some other natural resources, and then the process again for processing of this one we are using energy and we are using cloners and dyes etc., that is to get the required colors and designs etc., right. And then manufacturing, that is after getting the cloth maybe converting into this shape, size or some design something, and then packing, for packing we are using papers, plastics and again some waste will be there, and then transport, for transporting we are utilizing vehicles or rails or whatever, that is also energy is there. So, use, then for usage again we are washing our clothes daily, right. For that one we are utilizing the bleach, detergents or again water, right. So, then again after usage of certain period sometimes we can reuse or sometimes we can dispose or sometimes we can recycle. Of course, we are not doing, but at least recycle process is available or technologies are available, or if the recycle companies are available, then maybe you can give it to that one, right. So, I think you can see recycling machines of nowadays at least water bottles, at least these cool drink tins, bottles, and maybe some metal parts from the cars or bikes. So, they are recycling, may not be in our country, but many of the countries they are already recycling. But even though they are recycling, that level of recycling is not what we are using, right. So, like that what is happening is we are in each stage we are using natural resources, right. But this usage is very high nowadays, so that we are not able to manage these sustainability aspects. So, you just think in the same way, right. So, in the machine shop whatever the products we are manufacturing. So, in the machine shop normally we use lathe machines, drilling, milling etc., etc. That means naturally our raw material is a metal, right. So, we manufacture so many parts, bolt and nuts or some screws or some washers, from small part to very large part like two-wheelers or four-wheelers. Of course, directly the four-wheeler we are not manufacturing, but individual components manufacturing and assembling and using. So that is what machine shop is important for each and every product, right? So the same thing, maybe in the other form. Here we are getting the raw material acquisition for any product. Previous one is maybe for the shirt, and this is for any product. Raw material acquisition is there, then we utilize the energy, we have emissions and wastage. So this is all input and this is all the outputs. In each stage we have emissions and we have wastage of energy, right? So then finally we have waste and emissions. Okay. So then this is what life cycle assessment of any product, that is we have a raw materials extraction, processing impact on the environment, design for sustainability, economic, social and legislative issues, and use of sustainable materials, materials for green energy, end of the life issues, that is recycling, etc. So in each stage we need to understand the sustainability aspects. That is what I told you in the starting itself. Even if we say I don't use any product, I don't start any new innovation, I don't start any factory, means that is also problem, right? Because the population is increasing, everyone want to eat, so they want money, they want food, then so this is a cyclic process, right? So but we cannot stop the process, but we have to run the process in a proper manner. Or so that is what in each process we need to understand what is the impact on the environment, and here we have to design the product for sustainability. Sustainability means that is what same thing. Whenever you are designing a product, we have to keep these points in mind, that is reduce. So we have to minimize the usage of raw material, usage of energy and usage of the resources, and then reuse and recycle. So in such a way, if you design a product, then at up to certain level we can able to attain the sustainability. And then this one, that is economic, social and legislative issues. At the same time, in the design stage we need to consider the economic, social and legislative issues. That means whatever I told you, some of the things are there. If the government says I don't give salary and you don't pay taxes, then it will not work out, right? So they will increase salary, they will increase taxes. It is a recycling process. So same thing, the government rules are there, same thing the private companies also following, etc., etc. Am I right? So for example, one company is giving more salary to you, means definitely they will expect the same thing, right? Maybe not in terms of only number of hours working or maybe something else, but in other way the company should get more than that from you, otherwise how can they get the profits, right? So same thing, that is what we need to understand in the process. And then use of sustainable materials, that is what instead of non-biodegradable materials, if you use biodegradable materials, maybe at least it is possible to reuse or recycle that one. So that is the materials for green energy, this is also same. And then end of the life issues, that is recycling and reuse is required. So if you design our total process and product in such a way that whatever we are using, whatever we are manufacturing is by the concept of reduce, reuse and recycle, then at least we try to reduce the carbon emissions, and also we can able to attain the level of sustainability. And the same thing again maybe in another way. So if you take the environment, there are so many ways which are impacting, that is materials, energy, air pollution, water pollution, wastage, resource depletion, or toxicity, or biodiversity, or acidification, ozone depletion, global. So all these are there, all these are the concerns to the environment. Why environment is required? To live the human beings or any animals, again environment is the main thing, right? So if the temperatures are increasing, if there is no rain, if there is no water, if the plants are not growing, then what will happen? Again, why we are doing, the basic objective itself is damaging. Why we are developing all these products? If you live, then you can use this product. But if you don't have water, if you don't have oxygen, if you don't have food to eat, then why all these laptops, cars, all these things? Waste, right? So that is what we have to balance everything. So then here at the same time the social responsibilities are there, that is equal opportunities, that is we have to create work for each and every one, and then the stakeholder involvement and customer satisfaction, wages and benefits, and education, health and safety, employment, etc. So to take care of all these things, again development is required. So then the economic, so we have the sales and profits, investment, shareholder value, contribution to GDP, value added, all these things, right? So any of the entrepreneur, they don't start company, right, to give salaries to the workers. Am I right? Why they start company? Definitely they want to earn something for the profits. So if they get the profit, then they run the company. If they run the company, the product will be there, then so many people will get employment, and they will get salary, and again they will get money. So this is a cyclic process. So if we have a benefit, then only we do anything. But the benefit may be in other ways. So the entrepreneur benefit is different, the employee benefit is different, right? Like that everyone is selfish, and some benefit is required, not only in terms of money, right, in some other way, right? So then, so all these things, if you confine to only manufacturing, right, but everything is linked. So we can say the manufacturing systems though create material wealth for humans, and they consume a great amount of resources while generating lot of waste. That is what we discussed till now. We are developing many products, but at the same time we are consuming more amount of resources and creating many waste and causing for global warming. And then the waste generated during the manufacturing process, during the use of products, and after the end of the life of the products is responsible for degradation of the environment. That is what we discussed till now. So then this is also we discussed the concept of reduce, reuse, and recycle. So this is reduce concept is at the item of energy or material consumption and socio-economic impacts throughout the product's life cycle. So from design stage to the disposal stage, we have to keep this in mind. And then reuse, that is design the product for disassembly, so parts can be reused. And the recycle, that is select material that can be recycled. Okay. So like this we follow this 3R sustainability, that is reuse, reduce, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Then maybe we can able to achieve up to certain levels. Then if you go beyond that, there are other things, 6R philosophy, that is along with reduce, reuse, and rethink. Then maybe we can go for recycle. Then we can go for rethink, and also we can repair and replace. So while designing itself, we can rethink, either you can use any other material, or we can use any other machine, or we can use any other process, or maybe we can use any other shape, etc., so that we can able to get that one. And then every time, don't throw away if the product is not working, you think of repair, right, and then replace. That is we can replace some of the materials, or some of the products, or some of the process to reduce the CO2 footprint or emissions, etc. Maybe we can make the alternatives, right. So I will give you small example on this one in the machine shop, right. That is what if you see in olden days, we are using or we used to manufacture any of the machining process with the help of cutting fluids, you know, the conventional cutting fluids. If you see in your lab or workshop, we use a white fluid, right, all of you know what is that. It is a natural cutting fluid, not natural conventional cutting fluid. It is nothing but mix of some oil plus water. But do you know, water and oil cannot mix. So to mix this oil into water, we use some chemical that is called as surfactant. But why we required water and oil in a coolant or cutting fluid? Any one of you? See, in any machining process, heat will be generated. Like all of you studied chip formation, right? So there we have primary deformation zone, secondary deformation zone, or tertiary deformation zone. So heat will be produced, right? In the lathe machine also, if you are doing simple turning operation, immediately after completing turning operation, if you touch the workpiece or tool, it is very heat. So that means we understand the heat is producing in the machining process, right. So this heat is producing because of so many reasons. One is friction between the tool and workpiece, and one is to cut the material, we are using some energy, that energy is again converting into heat. Like that, some of the reasons are there. So to reduce the heat generation, we need to reduce the coefficient of friction. So we want lubrication. So oil is a lubricant, but at the same time we cannot do it zero, only we can able to reduce certain level, right. So already some amount of is generated, then we have to extract that heat from the machining zone, otherwise there is a damage to the cutting tool and workpiece if the heat is there itself. So we want a coolant. So water is a best coolant, right, and also oil is a better lubricant. So we want both the properties, cooling and lubrication properties, in the cutting fluid. That is why we mix oil and water. But naturally water and oil are not going to mix. That is why we use some catalyst, that is called as a surfactant, which is a chemical. So what it will do is, normally water is nothing but, you know, all of you know H2O. Even if you buy a water bottle, if you store 1 month also, it will not damage. Am I right? Huh? But the same water, if you observe in the drainage, why it is damaging? I mean, it create some of the what we can call it as some infectants, right. See, in the drainage also water is there, but that water is becoming black, or creating some infections, or developing some germs, all these things. What is the difference? Huh? Water is water only. Why contamination is happening? That is what my question. Pardon? Okay, because of that mixing, what is happening? That is what actually H2O molecule is stable. You can store any days, it will not damage, it will not contaminate. But whenever we are mixing this surfactant like in the cutting fluid, the H2O molecule is breaking into H plus and OH minus ions to mix with oil. Then only we get the property of both cooling and lubricant. But once the H2O molecule is breaking into H plus and OH minus ions, the lifetime is reducing. It is only few hours, maybe weeks or days. After that, this H plus and OH minus ions going to react with other things and may create these contaminated things. So, in the drainage what will happen is, we are not sending only water, we are sending so many things which contain so many chemicals. So, these chemicals are going to break the water molecule into H plus and OH minus ions. That is why it is unstable in the drainages and any of the canals, etc., wherever the chemicals are sending from the factories or from our house, etc. So, then this is becoming unstable and contamination is happening, and so many mosquitoes, also many things are developing from that one, right. So, I am going to somewhere replace. So, if you replace the cutting fluid in the machine shop, then maybe you can able to reduce the CO2 emissions, right. That is just one point in the total manufacturing process. So, like this repair. So, instead of throwing out whatever the product we are using simply outside, if you get any problem, but if you are repairing and using for a long period of time, then you can save your money as well as you can save environment also, right. So, like that we can rethink in the design stage and we can repair some of the products, and also we can replace some of the materials. We can able to improve the sustainability aspects. So, we will see quickly the same thing in the we can use in the manufacture, like reduce, reuse, recycle, etc., but in different stages. In the different products it is different, just we have to apply these basic things. So, this is a small example. So, this is you can see the water bottle, right. Maybe they are converting into like chappals. I am not saying you use like this, just if people not able to buy chappals, they can use same thing. So, like that if you think you can create so many products from the waste and maybe you can reuse it. And this is a closed loop manufacturing, that is what all these things we know, but we have to apply for each and every product. So, that is here we have the raw material going to the material and part maker and product maker, seller, user, then again collecting, and so we have one cycle, that is in-house maintainer. So, the same after using, if you get any problem, then maybe we can maintain in-house, right, or maybe we can recover the product center, right, and then part recovery center or material recovery, like that in different stages. If you are able to reuse, then maybe we can able to attain the sustainability, right. So, if you think your daily life, this we can observe, right, that is in-house maintenance. Some of the products, if it is damaged, we can do it in your house itself. Suppose my shirt button is damaged, what I can do? We can do in your house itself, right. Or maybe some of the things we get repair to your mobile phone, maybe you can go to the shop, you cannot repair it, you can go to the shop and you can repair it and reuse. And similarly part recovery center, that is again repair means sometimes it is repairable or sometimes we have to replace particular part, right. So, suppose your fan is repaired, suppose the capacitor is damaged, you can get new capacitor from the shop, like that. And then part recovery center, product recovery center, or material recovery center, like that. Sometimes depends on our requirement, maybe we can change one small part or one complete component, or sometimes we have to resend it, like that. At the different stages we can use of reuse, rethink, etc., then it will be better. So this is also same actually in different stages, how we are using natural resources, or how to go for manufacturing, product use and product disposal, and recovery, reuse, etc. This is what only different examples of what we discussed till now. Okay, right. So this is also same, but different approaches. Natural resources are different for a different products. This is also same maybe in the making of the washing machine, right. So this sustainable manufacturing is nothing but a multidisciplinary approach in which products are manufactured using process that are environmental friendly and conservative in consuming energy and natural resources, and safe for employees, consumers, and society. So if you apply 3R or 6R principles, and if you change the design, process, etc., maybe we can able to attain from this one. So this is normally we can use different names for the sustainable manufacturing, that is green engineering, green manufacture, clean manufacturing, or environmental conscious manufacturing, etc., etc. So we can use this one. And then the same thing, we have to take care of the social responsibilities and environmental responsibilities and economic responsibilities while using or while developing any of the product, then only we can able to attain the sustainability. That is what I told you, we can use 6R principle or 3R principle or 6R principle, and maybe you can use this sustainable manufacturing technique in the machine shop or any of the manufacturing unit, then we can go for this one. So then product design and system, manufacturing information and the process, anything in each step we have to think of this one, right. So just quickly I will show you, all these are the same concepts, but only different aspects or different products, like education research institutes, that is to do research in the new materials, to develop new process and to develop new designs, and it will go for the industry and it will go for the society and governmenting agencies. So all will work together, then only we can able to achieve the sustainable manufacturing. Okay. So then if you see the manufacturing machine shop, then normally the machine tool charter, that is vibrations or maybe cutting fluids or maybe foundry applications, all these are important in the sustainable point of view if you consider the machine shop or manufacturing. So this is what I told you already, if you use the cutting fluid, the environmental effects are there, or if you replace this cutting fluid with some other air, or maybe we can able to reduce the heat generation in machining process by any of the sustainable or eco-friendly cutting fluids, etc., then maybe we can able to reduce some of the CO2 emissions. This is also same, maybe we can use in each stage how to follow, how to check the each and every point. So this is what in the manufacturing also, like machine manufacturing or tool manufacturing or conventional cutting fluid usage or raw material development, etc., in each stage how to use the minimum energy and how to go for the sustainable material technology, all this is this one. So maybe you can replace the process, some of the process, or you can change the process steps to minimize the energy usage or maybe to minimize the CO2 emissions, etc., right. So this is what we can replace maybe the laser cutting process instead of the conventional cutting process, etc. So this is what we need to understand. So if you see here, this is the consumption of energy, and this is what the use phase consumption of energy, this is manufacturing phase consumption of energy. So sometimes we use maximum energy, but the maintenance cost is less. Like I will give you a small example. If you buy a Skoda company car, right, normally the initial cost may be more, but you need not to do servicing for each 10,000 kilometers. Okay, or all branded cars, like the initial cost is more, you need to go for servicing maybe 1 lakh kilometers or 50,000 kilometers or like that, right. Once you buy Skoda car, maybe first 3 years you need not require any maintenance. But if you buy a car of Maruti, right, you have to go for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, then 1 year, and or otherwise 10,000 kilometers, etc. So if you compare these two products, in the Skoda, the manufacturing cost is more. Of course, whatever the cost we don't know, but we are paying more. But this maintenance cost may be less, right. But of course, that is also for year, if you consider, it may be more. Just I am giving small example, but we need not go for every 10,000 kilometers, we have to go for maybe 1 lakh kilometers, like that. But if you are able to reduce this one, that is manufacturing cost also we are able to reduce, or we reduce, and the maintenance cost also we reduce, then we reach the sustainable aspects. Or if both are high, this one is high and maintenance cost is high, that is least sustainable. Are you understanding this one? Sometimes this is high, this is less, or sometimes this is low, this is high, sometimes both are high, that is the fourth one, and both are less, this is the sustainable one, right. Like that, if you develop the process and product, then we can attain the sustainability. So this is what in each step, if you develop machines which utilizes less energy, and if you develop process which utilizes less energy, and products which are reusable and recyclable, and then the power also, if you develop a clean power, then in each and every aspect, if you think in terms of sustainability, then we can able to develop the, or we can able to attain the sustainability aspects in the environment. The same thing, eco-friendly, cost effective, these are the things we need to understand in the sustainable machining process, okay, right. So this is again the sustainable machining techniques. That is what I told you. Maybe we can reduce the usage of coolant, or we can change the materials, we can change the tools, where we get the usage of minimum energy and minimum maintenance, right. That is what we discussed. Maybe this is in terms of machine shop, this is in terms of machining process. So how can you understand? Actually, I just quickly close this one, maybe another 5 minutes. So how can you understand whether your machining is sustainable or not? So we need to understand the sustainability analysis. We have to do the sustainability analysis. That is what first we have to consider the cost. How much cost is there for starting to ending, and then we have to measure the carbon emissions, and also we have to check the eco-friendliness of the process and product, and then we need to check the biodegradability. So if these 4 points we keep in mind, right, then we can able to attain the sustainability. So just for a small example of maybe machining of lathe machine by using some cutting fluid and workpiece, etc. So we can calculate like this. These are all the calculating cost, that is cutting tool lifetime. So we are using cutting tool, what is the cost of cutting tool and how much time we are using, and machining time and speed, all these things, machining cost, energy cost. So I think you are all studied maybe one topic, machining economics, in your BTech or MTech level. So those things we need to apply here, but that is we study broadly, but we have to see all other points. Here we need to understand all the costs. So find out what is the total cost of machining, and then we apply parameters to calculate the cost. So that is what, here everything we need to convert into the rupees, right. And then we have to check carbon emissions. So this one we need to consider the electrical energy whatever we are using, and we need to consider the tool, the energy usage to manufacture the tool, and what is the energy we are using for the coolant, and what is the energy for machine, and the process, that is chip formation process. So, all these we can able to calculate individually, and by these formulas, there are formulas are there, standard formulas. So, we calculate what is the total amount energy we are considering for each and every component of that one. Then we calculate all these things, that is carbon emissions factor for cutting fluid, and calculation of coolant, carbon emissions, etc. And finally, we calculate the tool and life cycle assessment. So, all these are standard formulas are there. If you take any process, we can able to calculate the carbon emissions. Then calculation of this EM, that is for the machine, and material carbon emissions. So, this is for the chip and calculation of the chip. So, finally, if you follow all these things, we calculate carbon emissions like this, that is for the dry machining, what is the carbon emissions, for conventional cutting fluid, what is the cutting emission. So, if you use some vegetable oils like biodegradable vegetable based oils, what is the carbon emissions? This is what one case study, right. So, if you understand this total carbon emissions, and this is the graph for dry machining, all these things. So, maybe for if you replace the cutting fluid, we try to slightly decrease the carbon emissions, and this is what the overall carbon emission different lubrication environment. And then this is the parameters where we need to understand the eco-friendliness. So, whether this is eco-friendly or not, the process is eco-friendly or not. So, that is what we understand from these parameters, that is what is the energy usage, what is the global warming potential for this process, and what is the water usage, and what is the acidification, solid waste, land use, etc. So, if you consider all these parameters, and then if you find out the overall this one, then we can say whether this is eco-friendly or not. Then we have to find out whether the material is biodegradable or not. So, for that also we have standard formulas, we can calculate BOD and COD, that is what is BOD is to determine the relative oxygen consumption for the biochemical degradation of these organic materials, and COD is the amount of oxygen dissolved or amount of dissolved oxygen required to oxidize and stabilize organic and inorganic content. So, if you calculate and BOD COD for this process or cutting fluid or anything, then we can able to, so if we can able to find out biodegradability index. If the BI is greater than 0.6, then the waste is fairly biodegradable. If it is 0.3 to 0.6, then it is biodegradable but required some treatment, and if it is less than 0.3 and we cannot be treated biologically. So, simply we can throw it, we cannot recycle, and it is not biodegradable. So, that means if this value is less than 3, it is better to avoid that one, right, that material we have to avoid. So, like this, now we discussed so many things like manufacturing of shirts, or manufacturing of vehicle, or manufacturing just a simple machining operation to eliminate the cutting fluid, or maybe to changing the material, etc. So, all these things are finally we have to keep in mind while designing the product and producing the product, right. That is with the concept of 3R or 6R, that is reduce, reuse and recycle, or maybe you can rethink, right, and replace, repair. So, these concepts we keep in mind in any of the product or in any of the process, then maybe we can able to attain the sustainability. So, whatever machines we are using, whatever raw material we are using, whatever process we are using, or whatever cutting fluids we are using, everything we have to think in this way. So, what is the amount of CO2 emissions, what is the amount of energy we are utilizing, what is the biodegradability index, and what is the sustainability aspects. So, if you think like that, maybe we can able to reduce the environmental effects or pollution or CO2 emissions, and we may achieve the sustainability in the manufacturing. Okay. So, this is what overall sustainability in the machining and manufacturing. Thank you. So if you have any questions, maybe you can ask quickly. Already we are late.